Hello everyone, how are you all doing today? My name is Varanus. This is not the video I wanted to make. I was hoping that after a week I'd be able to see kind of what the vision was that the devs were going for with the invasion changes, but I have played for a full week with the invasion, and I have tested this numerous times. The gameplay footage has nothing in relation to what we're talking about today. That's just going to be Outlast Trials. If I remember the videos that I have, you'll see a 4-man invasion group, and with that same group, we did a reagent trial as well. You might hear the audio of the people I was playing with talking, specifically one person. It was a fun group. But anyway, so let me reread these changes in case nobody, like you guys don't remember them. Easiest way to get to it is by scrolling to past it and then scrolling up to it. So first, we've got the big balance changes that came to the invasion mode. First, it is no longer about killing the reagents. It's about hurting the reagents. You can still kill them, and that will always get you an A+ as far as I can tell. If you kill them outright and they can't continue or exit, then you just get an A+. But if you just hurt them, you can get an A+ and they can leave. They added like a couple of things that were actually really good. The anti-stalling measures. So if they, stay in confined areas for too long, they'll start to die by electrocution. There's better door interaction improvements. Like there's a bunch of good stuff in here. The problem part is the long section that they have where they reduced all the stamina costs and reduced the stamina damage that occurred to the imposters. Because this was their way of trying to combat the OTK combo. I will remind you what the OTK combo is. You have two reagents. You run a jammer rig and a stun rig. And then you just need 2 bricks for the original one. I will explain why I say the original one in a second. You would throw the brick. You would then throw the stun rig. While they are stunned by the stun rig, the jammer rig person infects them. And then after they finish vomiting, you throw the second brick. Now, stamina is kind of bugged as it is. There's many times where my stamina bar will refresh on my screen, but then I have 0 stamina, so I can't run. And so then I have to wait until the game decides that I'm allowed to have stamina again, and then I can run. Stamina, the display is always bugged, so don't trust your stamina display on your screen. Specifically as imposter, I don't know why it's bugged like that, but it is. It's also been bugged on reagent, but not as badly, but that one I kind of ignore because it doesn't really matter too much. Like, every time that I've seen it, it doesn't have a gameplay effect on me. So that was the original one. And the only counterplay that you had was that if you could be able to leap next to a exit door, the elevator, then you could leave before you vomited. However, you only basically had 1 second of reaction time. So if you weren't directly next to one, you couldn't get out. So the idea behind these stamina changes is that you would still have stamina to be able to run to an exit, or at least run away that they couldn't brick you right away and die. So it basically slowed down the OTK combo. Here's the problem. All it did was add an extra step. So now the combo goes brick, stun rig, jammer rig. After they stammer from the jammer rig, throw a bottle. After they vomit, throw a brick. Now, the only reason you have to separate out and do bottle and brick, and you can't do bottle and bottle, is because, remember, they get damage reduction if they get hit with the same item within too short of a period. And that short of a period is almost perfectly the length from the first brick to the second brick. That duration is almost perfectly timed right there. So because of that, you have to use a bottle and then a brick to be able to ensure that you get the full damage. And the reason you add that second bottle is because it effectively removes their stamina. So what happens is they lose 25 stamina from the brick. They lose 25 stamina from being hit with the stun rig. Then the jammer rig does hit them with 25 stamina damage. They still get hit with stamina damage from being infected by the jammer rig. Not when they vomit, when they get infected with it. Then what you do is when they get stammered, you throw the bottle, they now become exhausted. So now they're punished fully, so they can't do anything. And then they get hit with the brick at the end and they're dead. And that's that. Congratulations. You now have the new and slightly more difficult, but actually much better OTK combo. Now, why do I say it's much better? And it's the line that they changed in the imposter balancing, where imposters now have 2 lives. It was 3. They have their initial life plus 1 respawn after killed. So imposters have 2 lives, which means that instead of needing Jammer Rig, Stun Rig, 6 total bricks, you now need Jammer Rig, Stun Rig, 4 bricks and 2 bottles. And you can kill an imposter and completely remove them from your trial. Now, if there are multiple players, so there's 2 players, they each have their own set of lives, so you would have to do it 4 times at that point. But that is good because it goes from 6 times before to now 4 times. So you're still getting 1/3, you're still using 1/3 less items, or 1/3 less bricks, and you just have to add bottles. That's it. And you're not even adding that many bottles. You'd be adding 1 bottle per player that you have to kill. It's ridiculous. The fact that this is... It's one of those things where I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it so that then, hey, we still want reagents to be able to kill. And if this is the most effective way for them to kill, we want that to stay in the game. But we want to make sure that there's player agency. Their idea is like, we're trying to give player agency by adding this, changing the stamina so that then they can be able to get away from it. But you didn't fix the problem. So what I'm going to kind of say is there is a way that they can fix this. There's a way that they can fix this that will make it so that then we can still have the lethality while not having the problem. And the easiest way to fix that is one simple thing. Remove the stammer from the stun rig while also changing the stamina damage from the stun rig to when you vomit. If you remove the stagger from the jammer rig and you remove the stamina damage to when you vomit, then what that means is that they would need 2 bottles, which would effectively mean that they would still be able to one-shot you. That's fine, whatever. It's like, you're making them burn even more resources, which means it might be even harder for them to be able to do it as many times as they need to. It does mean solo imposter will still be at a detriment if you go against a 2-man that has the rigs. And that is going to be my key thing right there, is that it requires you to go against, at minimum, 2 reagents. And the reason that that is such an important line is because there's a number of times where I will go in and I'm playing against a solo reagent. And against solo reagent, it's kind of, I want to say it's a little favoring towards imposter right now. There's some aspects that are favoring towards imposter and some aspects that are favoring towards reagent. It depends. It kind of depends on the map. Some maps, because of how expansive the movement capability is, the reagents are able to just zoom across the map and you can do nothing. So you basically get hit, they go into an elevator, pop out, hit, go into an elevator, and pop out. And the reason you have to play that way is because they'll just zoom to the other side of the map and there's like nothing you can do about it. You can't interrupt them. There's no pathways to interrupt because they'll just go from, like, imagine you're in the police station doing the trial where they have to get the keys for the bodies. I think it's just cancel the autopsy, I think is what it's called. They'll go from Section A, you'll hit them there, and they'll just bolt over to the opposite end of Section C. And you might say, oh, well, you can catch up to them. Okay, well, by the time you get over there, right, you will have had to burn your stamina, recharge your stamina, and burn your stamina again, so you'll be out of stamina by the time you get there. And if they see you, then they're going to bolt over to the A side, which means that you're out of stamina while they're bolting away. And then you'll try and catch up to them, and you're just going to always be playing from behind. So because of that, it's better to just leave. Not to mention, again, Boosted is an amp, and that is probably one of the most common amps that people take when they go into the invasion mode. And the reason they do that is because they have a 1 in 3 chance of getting the stamina boost. And if they get the stamina boost, then it's just GG. You literally are hit and run, hit and hit an elevator, because you will never catch up to them with that much stamina. The only thing that you can do in those situations is hope that you can play with the X-Pop and get it so that then the X-Pop are targeting the reagent. You hit them, the X-Pop block them from going a certain way, so they have to go back into you, and you get another hit on them. The problem then is that now they have a rig, and if they hit you with the stun rig but they don't hit the X-Pop, it is highly likely that the X-Pop will lose interest in the reagent and go after you as the invader. And this is the only reason why I dislike the reworked aggro on the X-Pops. People were always complaining about it before. They were like, oh my god, it's so difficult before. I never had a problem with it before. I never had any issues. Every once in a while, like if I was stupid and I literally like ran up and gave Coil a kiss, he would hit me with the stun baton. But I never had issues before. Now, I have had trials where I enter the map. I tried to catch up to where they were. Like, I could see where they were going. I'm like, okay, I know where they're going, so I'm going to go here to try and see if I can cut them off and get in there. And I get cornered between Mother Gooseberry and a heavy. And so I'm going to take damage no matter what. And so I just dashed back to the elevator and had to sit out for 50 seconds because I took damage. So the issue that I have, truthfully, across the board, is that the tactics that they did to try and make things favor imposter a little bit more only favor in very small situations. I can give you the best example that I have of this whole thing. I wasn't even against people doing the jammer stun combo. They were just both running jammer rig, which I don't mind. If you run you can run jammer rig. That doesn't bother me. I'll deal with my character vomiting. Whatever. The problem that I had with the whole situation with those two players is that the mandatory secondary objective was the broadcast, so that all they had to do was go and break a single radio, and the radio was literally right next to an objective, so they didn't even have to go that far. They ran to the objective, hit the radio, congratulations, they now have to just do the basic objective. And it was the bleach, which, if you know anything about doing the bleach, if you are not running the jammer stun OTK, then you have two people run separate directions. One person's getting all the bleach done while the other person is being chased around, and then once the imposter has to leave, you both go to that area, grab the bleach, pour it in, and you get to leave. So, because of the fact that it was the broadcast, which is it's like either the radio broadcast or the TV broadcast for secondary objectives, those ones are way too easy for the reagents to do, that there's no point in adding that. Just don't even give them the mandatory secondary objective. They get it done in a millisecond. Like, it's hilarious because I remember one time when I was playing as reagent and I had the broadcast. I'm like, oh, this is going to be stupidly easy. I just have to find it. I didn't even find it. I saw the imposter coming out of a hole and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I just threw my stun rig, and then I get the little notification, secondary objective complete. Because again, it can be broken by the stun rig. Oh my god, it was like, I didn't even find the objective. I just threw the stun rig and just happened to hit it. And I'm like, okay, guess I don't have to worry about the secondary objective. That's over with. Got out, got hit once. And the entire trial got hit a singular time. Like, I don't know how to get this across, because I'm not trying to tell the developers, hey, you guys are fucking idiot. Like, I'm nowhere near that point, because obviously these developers listen a lot more than some other developers that I could mention that, just had one of the worst years for their video game of all time. We could name names, but, I really don't want to call them out. Let's just say that they're losing one of their major licenses because they're making a video game about it. That should tell you enough. So, I'm not trying to tell them that they're terrible and don't know how to do their job, because, no, these developers know how to do their job because they tried something. They tried something risky. They really did. This was a big risk, because they could have easily just been like, yeah, you know what? Imposters are immune to stun and damage effects for 5 seconds after receiving any damage. They could have just done that. And congratulations, that would have solved all of this shit. But the problem is that would swing the needle so far into the imposter favor that it wouldn't even be fucking funny. Like, it would be pointless to play the game as a reagent, and so then invasion mode would completely die. So invasion mode's not dying because of that change, because they're smart enough to not do that. They tried a different approach that is very risky, but I can appreciate the fact that they went for something risky rather than dumb. Again, they need to figure out a nice balance to it, and I think this is my opinion, okay? And I know someone's going to hate this, and they're going to be like, no, that's stupid, why would you do that? But this is my opinion. Remove the stamina damage from bricks and from bottles. Remove it from those. If you get hit with the blind mine, the stun rig, any of those, go ahead and have stamina damage with it. But don't put stamina damage on the bottle or the brick. And then the only other one that I would do is remove the stagger from the jammer rig, so that then you don't have only 1 second to try and move after you get stun rigged, jammer rigged. You know, you get 2 seconds, which I'm okay with it being 2 seconds. Again, you should be able to be punished as the imposter if you don't play well. The problem with the OTK combo is that it doesn't require the reagents to play well. They can literally play as dumb as they want, and they still get to have this combo work almost 100% of the time. That's the issue. So that's why I'm saying, hey, remove the stamina damage from brick and bottles, and move the stamina damage to after they vomit, so that then you get the 2 seconds of time to try and run to a nearby elevator. So it comes down to, okay, do you know where the elevators are, and you can get out. I feel like you do that. I feel like maybe this is another kind of, this is a hot take one. I would want you to adjust the timer that you spend out of a trial, and instead of making it a linear curve based off of how much health you're missing, make it a bell curve. Make it kind of it's like a very blocky bell curve. So if you have all of your bars of health, you're only out for the 25, I think it's 25, well, 30 seconds, because it takes 5 seconds for you to get into the fucking elevator, but, you know, 25 seconds. So you're out for 25 seconds. If you lose 1 bracket of health, 1 singular bracket of health, it's now 35 seconds, 30 seconds once you're actually in the elevator and you're on the cameras, right? If you lose 2 brackets of health, you jump that up a decent chunk. So instead of it going up by only 5 seconds, it goes up by 15 seconds. So you go from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. If you lose 3.5 brackets, and the only reason I'm using that half bracket here only is because I think that this is a place where it's actually important to do a half bracket. If you lose 3.5 brackets of health, you go from being out for 45 seconds to being out for 1:15. And then finally, 1:40 if you die. Make it extra punishing for death, but make it so that if you take little bits of chip damage, you don't feel like you're punished for using your health as a resource. Because I feel like that's an issue that's in here, is that, you know, you want the X-Pop and you want this aggressive gameplay, but then you punish the X-Pop, not the X-Pop, the invader, for using their health as a resource to be aggressive. Now, obviously, again, this is very damaging to the very new player experience. And I know this, because I play against new players all the time, because sometimes they just forget to turn it off, and so then I end up invading their game. It's one of the reasons why I constantly will do, like, fun troll games, and I won't actually, like, I don't record them. I should record them, because it'd be hilarious. There's so many times where I'm literally playing imposter, and I will just hold out my fake item, and I'll just wander around, and then I'll stand on the other side of a door that they know they're coming out, and I'll just wave at them when they pop their head out. And they'll all bolt out, they'll hit me with a brick, they'll like start freaking out and hitting me, and I'm like, I'm just trolling at this point. There's no fucking reason for me to try and kill you. I could literally end this game right now if I wanted to. I don't, because it's not fun. It's not fun for me to do that. I have more fun just fucking around with them. So I understand that for the newer players, that will make it much harder, because, you know, you're like I said, you would be removing the stamina damage from the bricks and bottles, changing the way the OTK works, so that then there's more like response time. You know, all those changes would definitely make the game a lot more imposter sided. But I think what that means is that you can be able to go back on some of your other changes that you did. Such as the healing rig can have the reaction back as a medium reaction instead of a light reaction. The blind mine can be a heavy long reaction instead of just a severe react, or it can be a severe reaction instead of a heavy long. You know, you could actually make these changes and make the escape opportunities for the reagents better while removing the OTK aspect. And I think that that would be better for the game as a whole. Again, this is coming from me. I'm a random person. I am not a game developer. I don't have the numbers they do. They might have different numbers that make me sound like a complete idiot. And if they do, by all means, I accept the fact that I'm an idiot. I'm not even going to try and argue that. Maybe I have a very isolated experience and I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, from the people I've talked to, the interactions I've seen, what I'm explaining is a very common argument, is a very common problem that people have. So I would just like to see, I want to see how they're going to iterate it. You know, maybe they watch this video and they're like, you know what, damn, he's smart, let's do that. And they do it. Fantastic. I would love to see either me proven right or me proven an idiot. I will take either one. But whether they do what I'm saying to do or they do what they're going to do, I want to see what they want, what their plans are, because I want this to succeed. I love making Outlast Trials content. I love making it. The amount of recordings that I have, like, shit, I'm looking at my recording setup right here, and I've got 4 videos that I recorded last night, and I need to get these over to my phone. I edit all my videos on my phone. Laugh at me if you will. It's easier to edit on my phone than it is on my desktop. It's like I have all these. I have to get them over to my phone, and on my phone I've got 6 videos already ready that I need to start editing and put together into funny videos. This one's going to be one of them. This is not going to be funny, obviously. This is going to just be me ranting about this. So I want this to succeed. I love it. I have fun with this. I want to be able to have fun with it while also enjoying it. You know what I mean? Like, I have fun making the content. I also want to have fun playing the game too. So yeah, that's it really. That's my opinions on how everything is going. If you have differing opinions, by all means, throw them in the comments. Let me know. I would love to hear what other people are experiencing, because again, I have my viewpoint and the few people that I've talked to, but if there's other people and you've had other experiences, maybe you play Reagent and you're like, holy fuck, Imposter in this patch is just god-awful to deal with. I can't get a single escape. Let me hear about it. I would love to hear that. I want to know what people are dealing with. So, but go ahead in the comments, tell me. You can tell me I'm an idiot too. I'm not going to fight if you tell me I'm an idiot. I'm going to be like, yeah, sounds about right. Could be an idiot. So just go down there. Let me know what your experiences are. I hope you guys enjoyed this little random bits of video and me ranting about the imposter mode. Have yourselves a wonderful day.